Anthem Air Conditioning today for your home comfort show. And today we're going to talk about water heaters. So, as the temperatures are dropping, especially in the morning, you get up, take a shower, and that nice hot water, you just expect to be there. Most of the time it is, but when it's not, it is a terrible way to start your day with a cold shower. So, let's talk about maintaining your water heater to make sure that it stays in good condition for you while you take your showers in the morning and is there and reliable hot water when you want it. So if you want to extend the life of your water heater and make sure that it's efficient and there for you when you want it, get a water heater maintenance done once a year. This will make sure that your system is working properly. I want to make sure that we get all of the calcium, things like that, out of your tank. Want to make sure that all of the safety features are working properly. Your flue vent is exhausting any of the gases out of your house, that the burners are coming on and functioning properly. So you want to make sure that somebody takes a look at your water heater once a year. It's a forgotten thing, but it's really important. People don't forget about their oil checks on their cars, especially now that we have a little light that pops up when you're getting close to that time. But the water heater maintenance is such a forgotten, necessary maintenance plan for your home. So once a year, get your water heater maintenance. It's nice when you have a company that comes out, we remind you about that and explain the importance and go over all the details of your water heater. But if you haven't done your water heater maintenance for a long time, the water heater actually could have some problems that are pre-existing that you kind of don't want to break. So there's a spigot on your water heater that will, when we do the maintenance, we hook a hose up to it, we turn it on, and we let it all drain out. If that spigot has not been turned on and off for a while, then the gaskets inside that spigot could be dried out. It could be basically rusted closed. And on top of that, all of the sediment could have settled into where that drain on the inside, where it drains out. And now even if you're able to turn that thing on, you wouldn't get much out. We do have tools that help us actually bust that sediment on the inside out. I just bought a new one that's really kind of cool. It works well. And what it is, you hook up your hose to it, let it drain out, and there's an actual water pump that'll actually push pressure back in through that hose spigot. Nice tool. Doesn't cause damage, because a lot of companies will go out there with like a hanger or something like that and try to break it up. That could cause additional damage to your system. Bursting a little bit of air through there doesn't cause as much damage. But again, that's if your system hasn't been maintained in a while, we can give that a try, but we don't want to cause more damage to your system than necessary. So if it hasn't been done for a while, we may or may not be able to flush it, but you do want to check everything else in there. There's the temperature pressure relief valve. So the temperature pressure relief valve is at the top of your system. And because you're heating up hot water inside a tank, that hot water actually adds additional pressure than just the water sitting in your tank. So that heat adds pressure in there as that water boils. You can imagine a pot sitting on a stove and you put a cover over it, and as it boils, that water starts to bubble up and could actually push the lid off your pot and bubble onto the stove. We've seen that happen on our stove. Well, imagine that happening inside your water heater, where there is not a lid that can burst out. And these things have exploded in the past when your temperature and pressure relief valve isn't working properly. And it causes a lot of damage to the home, fires to the home, etc. So you want to be really careful. That temperature pressure relief valve, when the temperature gets too hot or too high inside that tank, it actually pops and it lifts up and the water actually starts to flow out of your tank. So it relieves all that pressure. And then if that's not working, you're asking for trouble with your water heater. So that's another thing we're going to check. And if it hasn't been used in a while and you haven't got a maintenance in a while, we don't want to cause problems with your water heater. So that we may avoid actually checking that, because once that pops open, the gaskets inside of it, if they're rotted or cracked or anything, they will not seal back down and could cause a problem. So that's why an annual check is really important, to make sure that we use these functions that actually we don't want our water heater to use, but you want to make sure they're in working condition just in case. So again, another great reason you want that annual water heater maintenance. So during the water heater maintenance, I talked about getting rid of all that sediment built up in the tank. So we don't think about our sediment in our water when we turn it on, but when you turn on your water at your faucet, there's actually a lot of calcium, just sorts of debris that's in our water, in our city water, that actually makes it into our homes. That calcium, when you let it sit, it actually starts to settle. So in your hot water tank, a lot of that calcium and other stuff is settling to the bottom. And that's what I talked about when we have to go in there and kind of bust that debris to make sure that it flows properly. And when we do our water heater maintenance, we want to get that debris out of the tank, so it's not going into our house and it's not eating away at the metal inside our tank or anything like that. So taking care of that will make sure you extend the longevity of it. Plus, it makes sure that your water inside your house is cleaner, because now you have a buildup of that debris. And when you use that hot water, a lot of that stuff pulls out. So it becomes a larger amount of calcium and other stuff that comes through on your hot water side and eats away at your pipes. So be careful with that. Then there's the anode rod. So the anode rod is what we call the sacrificial rod. It actually, it goes from the top of your tank and it slides right down the middle of your tank. And this sacrificial rod is where a lot of the calcium and other minerals inside your tank, instead of attaching to the sides of the wall, will actually attach to this rod, and it deteriorates this rod. So it's it attracts these calciums and other minerals. It'll actually start to eat away at that rod, as opposed to eating the sides of your tank, the bottom of your tank, where eventually it'll leak, and that rod can be replaced. So the rod should last somewhere around 4 to 6 years and then need to be replaced. And that's an easy area where we actually unscrew it from the top. We can pull the rod out. We can show you how deteriorated it is. Just like any metals and water, you're gonna end up with it eating away at that, rusting it and starting to tear that metal down. So it's better if we use a sacrificial anode rod to allow the water and calcium, minerals, and bacteria in there to attack that rod, as opposed to attack the sides of your tank and your pipe system. So you want to have that checked every year to make sure that it's in good shape and still working properly, because once it's been corroded down to nothing, then that minerals and calcium will start to look for other areas to attack, which tend to be the sides or bottom of your tank, causing leaks in your tank. So avoid that. Your gas line, your valve, and your burners. We want to check these things to make sure they're operating properly. The gas valve has a lot of little holes in it. Or I'm sorry, the gas valve allows the gas to go through. So if this gas valve is leaking, if it's starting to show signs of wear and tear, you may want to replace that valve to make sure that it's allowing the proper amount of gas through when you call for that gas. Otherwise, it shuts that gas off and stops it from going and leaking out. Then it goes to your burners, where your flame is igniting your burners. Some of the water heaters have a glow rod that lights the burners up. Others will have kind of a standing flame. It'll have that little tiny bit of gas that the gas valve allows out, not enough to really heat your water, but when when the gas valve opens up and allows gas out, your burners will light because it has that standing flame. That's why a lot of times if you do work on like air conditioner system or your stove or cooktop, what happens is that flame sometimes will go out, and then you turn your water on and go to take your shower in the morning after, working, changing out your cooktop or changing out your furnace, and you get a cold shower. That's because that gas line in the house was opened up. It sucked all the gas away from that flame, that standing flame, and that went out. So it has to be relit sometimes. When we do our air conditioner installs, we actually send one of our plumbers over there to not only help and make sure that the gas line to your furnace is set up, but to check to make sure that gas line on your or that standing flame on your water heater is not going out and is staying lit. So a lot of air conditioning companies forget about that. We do send a designated plumber to the home just to check those gas related items on the AC side. But that burners, because it has a lot of soot, some of those burners have a lot of holes on it where the gas comes out and the flame sits. Those things can get clogged also. So we can clean that up and make sure that that's burning properly and evenly underneath your water heater. So we'll take a look at that. There's also a flame arrestor screen on that can get clogged up. And then lastly, your flue vent. So your flue vent is where the gases from the burner and your gas that's burning underneath, your flue vent's where all those gases get out. Well, if a system hasn't been used in a while, a lot of the snowbirds out here, we call them, they come out, they are here for the winter time. They haven't been here for 6 months now. So they'll probably start to come in as our temperatures are turning into just our beautiful desert temperatures. They all start to flock back here. And if they haven't checked their water heater, you could have a bird that's created a nest in there. You can have another rodent that has caused problems, possibly some deterioration. Maybe our winds have knocked off the cap on that. All sorts of things could have happened to your flue vent that could cause problems. And with a flue vent that's been blocked, the gases will actually start to flow back into the area that the water heater is. So if your water heater is in your garage, you could end up with carbon monoxide in your garage because the water heater flue vent is plugged. So we want to make sure that is checked and unplugged and flowing freely so the gases can get out of your home properly. Finally, we want to check the temperature of your water coming out. So the ideal temperature would be 120 degrees, and that would be at your furthest tap from the water heater. So we don't want that water too hot and we don't want that water too cold, especially with children. If the water's too hot, you can really cause some skin damage. Children have very sensitive skin. Adults also can get burned, but you want to make sure that your temperature is properly set so that we don't cause damage or potential damage and hurt somebody out there. We don't want it too cold because colder water will actually allow a lot of bacteria, mold, things like that to actually build in there. And we don't want to have our temperature too cold to where we end up causing a health issue within our water temperature. So there is a fine point where you want to set your temperature at the right spot. And then as your water heater ages, that amount of gas needed to hit the prime temperature may change a little bit. So adjusting that amount of gas, the heat level in your water heater may change from year to year. So at some point, you're going to end up wanting to replace your water heater. Okay. So water heaters, just like any other appliance, they have a lifespan that will come to an end at some point. So we want to make sure that we take a look and maintain our water heater to extend that lifespan. But at some point, we want to also think about replacing it before it's too late. So things to look for when it's time to replace your water heater is inconsistent water temperature. If it's going hot, then cold, you can't get that consistent water temperature. May want to take a look and have somebody look at your water heater to see if something's wrong or if it needs to be replaced. Same thing, discolored water, low water pressure. These things are signs that your water heater is hitting the extent of its life. If your water heater is leaking, obvious sign that it's now time to replace. If you walk outside and you hear this gurgling sound inside your water heater, it's telling you that this water heater is probably coming to an end also. A lot of that gurgling sound is the sediment down at the bottom that I told you about is starting to break up. And so chunks are kind of flopping around inside your water heater as the water is being boiled and it's hitting the side of the tank. So you'll hear the little gurgling sound of these sediment chunks kind of breaking up and floating around inside your water. So if you have a strange smell inside your water heater, or the pilot light keeps going out, or really importantly, if you see burn marks around the outside of your water heater, that's called flame rollout. That is a really bad sign of water heater failure. And that's where the burner, when it lights, the flame actually doesn't go right into where the burners are. Maybe they're plugged, maybe there's some other issue. It actually sucks out and burns the outside of your water heater. So if you look at the area where bottom of your water heater and you see that there's little soot marks around that area, get your water heater checked. It may be fixable, but it may also be time to replace your water heater. And then with the tankless water heaters that are coming out also, they need to be maintained also. Even though they don't have a tank like the tank water heaters, they still have water flowing through it and some water sitting in there. So over the year, you'll get a lot of buildup on the side of those tanks, the calcium, bacteria, and all sorts of things that'll build up in there. And we actually use a solution to clear that out, to wash that tank. So once a year, you want to get your tank or tankless water heaters flushed and cleaned. So if you see any of those signs on your tank water heater or around your sink, showers, etc., have a professional come out and take a look at it. The best way to prevent these things is to get your annual maintenance done. As we step into winter, this is a great time to have us come out and check things out. It can be done at any time of the year, but especially as we step into a temperature change where we go from hot to cold, good time for a maintenance check. And for those snowbirds coming in, great time to get it done, either before you come in or right as you come in. Set up an appointment and let's get that done. So we take care of, at Anthem, we take care of all of the Coachella Valley. We take care of the high desert up to Joshua Tree and even some in 29 Palms and the Riverside area. Our maintenances are $14.95 a month, and that's per air conditioner system. And it includes a twice a year air conditioner system. You get your fall and your spring maintenance. And then you get your water heater also. So you get 3 maintenances for that $14.95 a month. If you look for the annual plan, it's $185 a year. But give us a call. This is a perfect time to get your water heater taken care of and make sure that you are safe, healthy, and extend the life of your water heater. So I'm Mike with Anthem Air Conditioning, your home comfort show professional here. Give us a call anytime. Talk to you next week.